Hello everyone and welcome to episode 79 of Competitive Magic with the Karnies. I'm your host from Italy, Andrea Mengucci, and joining me today we have another Andrea from Italy. It's Andrea Piemonti. Welcome, Andrea.
Hello.
We have Andrea today to talk to you about Modern Horizons 3. This episode will fully be on Modern Horizons 3. There should probably be about 10 episodes since the set is loaded with cards that have potential for Modern, and I am super excited to talk to you about. But first, I want to introduce you my co-host today. Andrea is a fellow Murktide Regent enjoyer. He was host of a previous episode to talk to you about Murktide, but today it will be fully on Modern Horizons. Are you excited to be here, Andrea?
I'm very excited, actually, yes.
Okay, that's good, that's good. All right, so we have, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have a very long list of cards. I don't know if we'll cover them all, but let's start with the ones that we think will be a good addition to Blue-Red Murktide. And yeah, so I asked you, what is the best card that Blue-Red Murktide got with Modern Horizons 3? And you answered me, Tamiyo Inquisitive Student. So what is this? This is a 1-mana blue only, legendary creature, Moonfolk Wizard. It's a flying 0/3. Whenever attacks, you investigate, so you get a clue. And whenever you draw your third card in a turn, you can flip this 1-drop creature into a Planeswalker, which is Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar. It only comes in with 2 loyalty, but it goes immediately to 4, shrinks your opponent creature, and with the -3, you can return an instant or sorcery from a graveyard to your hand. And there's an emblem, but you know, it's not that important. So, what do you like the most about this 1-mana creature?
I really like Tamiyo because I think the card fits in a lot of matchups where Ragavan is not super strong, especially versus like Bowmaster decks and Yawgmoth. Because 0/3 is a good body for Modern in blocking all the 1-mana and 2-mana creatures. And the card also does card advantage, but in a way that doesn't get hit by Bowmaster directly, like Ledger Shredder. And also it's an elusive threat, so having flying means you basically have a clue every time you want to attack. Like we know that our deck plays flyers, so Murktide knows how efficient it is to have flying. And then I think the Planeswalker is also strong, because having the possibility of slowing down the race and giving back a card from the graveyard is quite good. But the thing I like with this card is it's so cheap, so 1 mana is the perfect 1-drop. But this card is also good like in late game when you draw it on turn 4 or 5, because from the next turn on you can start drawing cards and do card advantage again.
Yeah, so basically I think the reason why Tamiyo is good is that you don't need to flip it. You don't need to hit the draw 3 cards in a turn, which is not that difficult for this deck since you can have Mishra's Bubble, so you can set up a turn where you go, land Tamiyo go, you can even flip this on turn 2,
Yeah.
land Tamiyo Bubble go, in your opponent turn you crack your bubble, upkeep you draw from bubble, you draw for turn, attack, crack a clue, draw. And then you get this Planeswalker, which is obviously, you know, a 4 loyalty turn 2 Planeswalker is nice, but you know, it's not that this card does too much card advantage, whereas Tamiyo actually does card advantage. Like, you don't need to flip this sometimes.
Yeah, I think
And
it's easy to set up the flip if you need, especially for like you also have preordained, so drawing cards is not a problem. And yeah, you can decide whenever it's good at drawing 1 more card each turn, or having these flips, because if you analyze, sometimes you randomly lose to your opponent attacking for 1 with a lot of creatures, especially versus Yawgmoth. So the +2 of this card is basically a fog every turn. So I really like this card for his potential versus Yawgmoth. But it seems to be strong versus basically all the format besides aggressive combo decks.
yeah, and it also has another ability which is flying, which means that it protects your Murktide region from pick your
Yeah.
poison, which has definitely been a problem lately. Since that card has been around, Murktide has definitely you know, took a little bit of a hit, but Now there's like very early threat. I mean, I say threat, and I don't mean like it kills your opponent. Like maybe when you go, let's say, Land Channeler Preordain, your opponent feels like you can't lose because you have a 3/3 Channeler. This card, I think, will like slowly build up a card advantage that maybe will make you play more Force of Negation, more Subtlety, because you're just spending mana, drawing clues, so you can like interact with free spells. And then with the backside, you can pick up Expressive Iteration with the -3. Yeah, I feel like this card is good, and you definitely sold me on it. I'll definitely try Tamiyo for my Murktide decks.
The last funny thing you can do
But
with this card is you can just draw from your third turn, play Flame of Honor, target yourself, and flip it. And because this is a wizard, so having a
that's
one drop
true.
wizard, we will talk later about a 2-drop wizard. You can basically transform your deck from a Delver-esque deck without caring for types to a Blue-Red Wizard deck. So this is for sure another way to build
Yeah,
Murktide.
so
Yeah.
the other wizard you were talking about was Party Thrasher. This is 1 and a red for a 1/4 lizard wizard, and says non-creature spells you cast from exile have convoke. At the beginning of your pre-combat main, you can discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards from your library, then you choose one of them and you may play it. So what are the cards that you cast from the exile outside of course, the ability of Party Thrasher?
So basically, you can cast the second card of iteration. That's it basically. But
Yeah, so you can cast cards from Expressive Iteration and maybe I don't know, maybe there will be something else hidden in the set.
yeah,
But so what you can do is like you make carded. So the reason why we both love Ledger Shredder so much is that you make sure that late game you would be able to use your extra lands. So for example, especially now with Tamiyo, you're gonna definitely end up flooding a lot because the deck is gonna only have 1/2 drop. So with Tamiyo, just draw cards and you'll flood a lot. So Party Thrasher will make sure to discard cards without having to maybe help Orcish Bowmaster. I
mhm.
guess though Tamiyo plays into Bowmaster a little bit with the cracking a clue thing, but
Yeah.
this card doesn't. This card will make sure that you can loot and it's gonna also help cast the
Also,
cards.
like body 1/4 is like a nightmare for attackers because like it's very tough to kill this and blocks very very well. I think yeah, the cards we talked about for now have a very big constitution, so very very big
Toughness.
toughness. Yes, so it will probably slow down maybe the approach of the deck, but in a proficient way. So we'll be able to draw more cards and be a more of a control deck rather than an aggressive deck.
Yeah, a card that we have a different opinion on is Invert Polarity. This is a instant for blue red, so a total of 3 mana, and it says choose target spell, then flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain control of that spell, and you may choose new target for it. If you lose the flip, counter that spell. So this is a 3 mana counter spell sometimes, a commandeer some other times. You gain control of a creature as well if you win the flip. So this card definitely will definitely have a polarized outcome, and sometimes you'll win the game with it. Sometimes you'll pay extra for your counter spell. And I guess overall, it is worth it for you to play this card in your
Yeah,
Murktide
I
deck.
think so. I think we played Archmage Charm in the past, so I think one more mana to playing basically a cancel with upside is a thing we did in the past. So I think the upside of this card are basically very very high, and I think the modern right now is in a spot where it's quite slow. So all the deck win. With a 4 drop, someone with a 6 drop even. So it's fine to it happens that you trade even or even positively with free mana. So you can counter a Yawgmoth, you can counter a Ring, a Titan, and that's it. I think this card is only not very good versus prowess, but that's it. For the rest of the meta, I think it's quite strong.
Yeah, the problem with Modern Horizon sets is that it just reset the meta. Like this format will add, 100 cards that are powerful to the format. So we will not. It's gonna not gonna be easy to predict the meta game even after the Pro Tour. But yeah, this card that I mean, once you control the game control of the ring, again, you're paying 3 cards with Commandeer. I guess you're paying 0 mana there, but Murktide is a deck that can draw go, and maybe in this lower shell with Flame of Anor, this card can slot in. Also, last episode with Javier, we talked about a bunch of cards. We talked about Flare of Denial, which is the 3 mana cancel, like you can sacrifice a blue creature. But that one, we can both agree, is not good in Murktide.
No, I won't play it just because you don't have enough wood card you want to sacrifice. And
Yeah, good
yeah.
creature. It needs to be blue. A card that is not blue, but you featured in one of your tweets that was definitely an interesting one is Nulldrifter. This costs 7, but you can evoke it for 2 and a blue. And when you cast the spell, you draw 2 cards. It has Flying, Annihilator 1, and it's a 4/4. So you cannot evoke Ephemerate it like you do with Murktide Regent because this act only on cast. But what you can do is you can cast Dress Down at the end of your opponent turn, evoke this, draw 2, and keep this 4/4 Flying Annihilator 1. Again, that's a combo you posted yesterday about, and to me, it's not very stupid because like evoke 2, draw 2, evoke 3, draw 2 cards is not great, but it's not that bad. Dress Down is a good card, and when you combine this together, I mean, it's super powerful.
Yeah, I think like my cabal is working on a Blue-Red Eldrazi list, a Blue-Red Tempo list, so I'm very curious if it's a meme or it's something that ends up having legs. But yeah, I think the potential of this card is very strong also because being a 7 mana Eldrazi triggers a lot of other cards in the set, like Ujin's Nexus, for example, or Kozilek Return. So this card is very interesting for me. I'm very curious if we end up breaking it or it will just be something odd in the set.
Speaking of Blue Red Eldrazi, last week I previewed I guess last week, on Monday, I previewed an Eldrazi that is red, that is Eldrazi Line Breaker. So for those of you who didn't see it, it's one colorless specific, that's the Eldrazi type of mana, red. So this costs 3 total, but it's specific, colorless, and red. 3/3, Devoid Trample, and then it has the ability to, at the beginning of combat, you give a creature, which can also be itself, plus X plus O, and haste, where X is the number of Eldrazi. So this comes into play as a 4/3 trample haste. And then later it pumps other stuff. So this is aggressive. This goes well with Ayovugin. I don't know if it goes well with the Nulldrifter Dress Down Shell, but it is definitely a very aggressive red Eldrazi that goes well with Eldrazi Mimic and Ayovugin and Thauntseer.
Yeah, I like this card because it reminds me after the ban from the Eldrazi Winters.
Ayovugin.
Yeah, I fucking used to like Eldrazi player used to play this red green shell featuring Mana Dorks and Thauntseer. So I think this card will fit the deck perfectly because back in the days they used to play Eldrazi Obligator. It was the kicker Eldrazi that you steal a creature, but I think this card is just better. And being an aggressive threat with haste will probably make the deck at least rebuildable. And then I don't know, but I like the deck because the vibe between Elves and Eldrazi was cute.
Yeah, if you didn't play too much during the Eldrazi winter, so for Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch, I was actually in the Channel Fireball team that made the colorless Eldrazi, although the Pro Tour ended up being won by JC Tao on blue-red Eldrazi with a bunch of other Eldrazi, so he was like leveling the field, and then in the summer it became more played blue-white Eldrazi, although my favorite version was red-green Eldrazi, which you mentioned with Eldrazi Obligator, and then they banned Ayuvugin, but I remember some years later Gregor Kowalski won a GP with red-green Eldrazi, so it was definitely an archetype which hasn't seen. I can't remember last time I saw it Eldrazi Temple being played, but it is time to definitely dust them off with the new set. Another blue card. There's a couple of more blue cards that you featured in your like you sent me a bunch of cards. Consigned to memory. So this is an instant that costs just a single blue, and it has the ability to replicate. So you can pay extra mana to copy this. It counters target triggered ability. That means triggered ability is something that goes on the stack, like for example, Primeval Titan ability, but it isn't the fetch land from this doesn't stifle anything, but that would be an activated ability, and or colorless spell. So this one counters the One Ring clean. 1 mana, you counter the One Ring, you counter all the Eldrazi because they're all the void. So this Consigned to Memory card maybe can replace Annul.
Yeah, maybe. I think this card, I think it's kind of mind deckable, depending on how aggressive you want to be and how the set turns out to be. But I think this card is actually very good because there are a lot of triggered abilities to win the game. You can like stifle a Grist, for example, or counter all the triggers from Amulet if you have enough mana. But also, like all the very strong decks have color spells. Like for in Yawgmoth you have Cauldron, and someone plays Ring, like us. And also Prime Time plays Amulet and Ring, and so on. Especially if Eldrazi became a thing, this card has the potential to be main deckable. So I really like this card. The design seems clean, and we played Ceremonious Rejection in the past, so I can see this being played. Then I think, yeah, it might be a better on Null, but depending on if people still play Binding and Fable. The last thing I want to mention about this card is it plays well in the brew with the Nulldrifter because you can stifle the evoke ability. So for 4 mana you have the Nulldrifter. I don't know if it's too janky or not, but for sure it's interesting.
Okay, so it's basically like Ephemerate on the Nulldrifter. Okay, interesting. There's another blue card that we didn't feature in this line, but a lot of my chat asked me about, and I have an opinion on this card. I want to hear about your opinion. It is a Strix Serenade. So this is the instant that costs a blue and counter target artifact, creature, or planeswalker, and its controller create a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. So there was a time in Modern where some players like Amulet Titan, Merfolk played Swan Song. They still play a lot of Swan Song in Commander, I heard, and this card, seems good. And I personally don't think so, but I want to hear if you think so.
I mean, I think this card is strong if you're playing Storm or Primal Titan decks, where the next spell you cast, you win the game on spot. Otherwise, for tempo decks like Murktide, giving your opponent a 2/2 flying is kind of bad because it's a blocker, it's an attacker, is another thing you have to deal with. You have to waste a removal on it. So I think it depends on the deck you're playing, but I won't probably play this in my Murktide deck. I think probably like Storm Scolding is still better if you want that kind of effect.
Yeah, speaking of Amulet Titan, this card counters both the Ring and the Titan, but then of course, having to deal with the 2/2 bird sounds like a stupid thing, but Murktide actually has to like spend a removal on it if your plan is to attack with Ragavan and such. So to me, it's not good in a tempo deck like that. It may be for a combo deck.
Yeah. I remember
I'm
like
sure
Swan Song was very strong in Storm back in the days, where you just counter the counter and.
Yeah, the last card that may slot into, or at least the last card, one more card that may slot into Murktide is Brain Surge. This is 2 in a blue for an instant. Draw 4 cards, then you put 2 back from your hand. This to me looks like a powered, a cheaper Memory Deluge. Memory Deluge was of course 4 mana. You pick up the top 4, you pick 2 back, 2 in hand, 2 bottom. This one does 4 in hand. 2 from hand goes to the top, and then you can shuffle. You have, of course, Fetchland, Luren's Revealed, and such, and you can even shuffle back 2 lands. This is just has the potential to be insane, but also, of course, there's Orcish Bowmaster in the format, and it's a very problematic card to cast into open mana if you play against Scam or Yogg or any new deck with black mana.
Yeah, like I'm very curious about the outcome of this. I think this card requires testing, and it's a card that is not an auto include in any deck because, as you mentioned, yeah, depending on how the meta evolves, and I think there will be black decks because we will show good black cards. But yeah, I think the raw potential of this card is quite good, and I can already see some tricks with Fetchlands or Lorien Revealed, since it's another good card you can play that shuffles and such. So I'm very
That's
curious. Like it's on my waiting list, but I don't know.
Yeah, so there's just so many cards to talk about. I'm really excited about the set. Let's talk about black card that are good.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. Let's go with a card that I feel like it's very powerful in cube, and it's definitely been one of a very high pick in the past. Not legally modern until today. Toxic Deluge, 2 and a black sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you pay X life. All creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. Now, mono black coffers, controls, whatever, they've played Damnation, which costs 1 more mana. And now, of course, Damnation is free, you don't have to take damage, and this one maybe to kill a Murktide Regent will be a lot of life. But to kill, Ragavan, Doughty Void Walker, and a Grief, you just have to take 3 damage.
Mhm.
And doing that 1 mana cheaper is huge when your mono black coffers deck already plays a lot of a 4 drop. So I think Toxic Deluge will be a boost to all the black control decks, or again, new black control decks. I think this is a very good card.
Yeah, I think I'm actually more excited to slot these in like shadow builds because, of course, it does kind of a combo.
Oh,
And yeah, basically
nice.
in all the black tempo mid-range decks that maybe play Tarmogoyf for cards that doesn't get hit if you deluge X2, for example, but basically slaughter all your opponent creatures. I can maybe see it even in Yawgmoth in some copies to deal with like your opponent's board if you're playing a mirror or even prowess because Wall of Roots, Yawgmoth and stuff still survives. So I think this card will open new possibility for all the decks that haven't received a push since Bowmaster and then since 2016. So I'm very curious about this
Yeah,
card.
the various mid-range
Yeah.
decks that I'm trying to push now. I don't know if you saw the trophy I made recently with black green mid-range black green the rock, which, well, I thought about it. I thought about adding the toxic deluge to this deck. The thing is that I want to play Delighted Halfling to pump my ring out. I want to play Orcish Bowmaster because it's a good card, and Toxic Deluge doesn't play well with mana dorks. Maybe it's a cyber
Yeah,
card.
yeah, I think it's a
Uh,
sideboard card. But playing
yeah,
the Wrath that doesn't kill Shieldred, I think it's huge sometimes. So
and
and Tarmo,
Tarmogoyf.
yeah.
Well, speaking of Tarmogoyf, there's a card which is definitely going to be tested. Dubious power level here. Nethergoyf. This is 1 black for X1 that gets +1/+1 for each type among cards in your graveyard. So this is basically Tarmogoyf, but only looks at your graveyard and has the ability to escape for 3 plus 1 card per type. So what is this? This is a cheaper Tarmogoyf, but also worse Tarmogoyf, of course. Uh, I
I
don't know.
love
I
this
feel
card.
like,
Like I think Black
yeah,
was waiting for a black 1 drop for years now, for something you can play on turn 1. They used to play the 1/1 Goblin that pumps each time you descend, but this card is
Latif
just
Talker.
yeah. But this card is just much better, and I think you can try to build a deck. The community team has already played Red Black Int in the past, so playing Bubble, Street Raid, Fetches, and cards that cares about graveyard makes this card very huge on turn. Even on turn 1, you can play it as free
Yeah,
4.
This card goes very well with another very interesting card, which is Ripples of the Undeath. That's the Sylvan Library, the Black Sylvan Library, 1 and a black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you mill 3 cards, then you may pay 1 colorless and 3 life, and you can put one of these cards into your hand. So this is a way to continuously fill your graveyard so that you don't just straight up die to Graveyard Hate like Endurance or Tormod's Crypt. And this is a way to fill your graveyard forever, even find extra Nethergoyf, because of course it has the ability to escape, so you pay 3, and then you just bring it back for free from your graveyard. For free, I mean, like, you didn't spend the card, actually, you gained the card with Ripples of the Undeath. Uh, this card is also going to be cool. It doesn't draw a card, so it dodges the Orcish Bowmaster downside, which, you know, Sylvan Library has basically just been unplayable in Legacy because this is to Orc. So again, we said how you mentioned Black getting good cards, and this one definitely does.
Yeah,
There's you did
I'm not. I'm usually not very good at evaluating those cards because sometimes it seems busted, but I don't know if it will be played. Hopefully, yeah, I like the design of this card, of course.
yeah, the problem of this card is that you pay 2, you do nothing, and that's definitely a big cost in a format that's so fast like Modern. Anytime I see a card, if Sylvan Library never existed, I've never played it in my life, I probably wouldn't even think this card is playable in Modern. But knowing how good Sylvan Library was for so long in Legacy, and this one just, can be even better with that mill ability. So, like, fueling other strategies. Again, you don't have Ogak, but, there's definitely decks that are happy to fill the graveyard. You can play even cards like Bloodghast and so on and so forth. Speaking of which, there is a card with a very high potential, I think, with Bloodghast and such, which is Grist Voracious Larva. And this card is very aggressively costed. It only costs 1 mana for 1/2 Death Touch, so it dodges the pink of Ren and 6 and Orc. And it says, whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it enters from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay a green, and if you do, you flip it. So for 2 mana, 1 plus another 1, you get a Planeswalker. And the Planeswalker Grist is very similar to the Grist that we know, which is comes to play with 3 loyalty. For 1 mana, for +1, you make an insect, you mill 2 cards, and then you can put a death touch counter if a black card was milled this way. With -2, you can destroy an artifact or enchantment, which, isn't amazing, but it's a nice bonus. It's not destroying a creature or planeswalker, but it's not bad. And for each creature for -6, for each creature in your graveyard, you make a token that's a copy of it. So
Yeah, it's basically
big
win the
deal
game.
for only 2 mana. Yeah,
Yeah,
like this card is very good.
yeah, I'm already like getting excited to try these plus Young Wolf plus Phyrexian Tower, where you kind
Ooh,
of
that's
do the
true. And wow, Undying triggers this as
yeah,
well. Yugmoth will play this for sure.
probably
Yeah,
because the
you
body is
mentioned,
so
of course,
good. Like
Phyrexian
1 mana,
Tower.
1/2 is we already discovered how the stats are good in playing Halfling. So this card is just a fine addition. Maybe you don't play 4 if you don't play a lot of Undying, but playing a couple is just fine, I think.
Yeah, no, this is like Tamiyo.
Yeah,
I guess it's not like Tamiyo because Tamiyo is like good on the front. This on the front is not good, but it's super easy to turn on if your deck is for Young Wolf, and again, you can play more stuff. Unfortunately, you can't trigger it. You can't. This doesn't do anything with a Cauldron. Of course, you can't get the backside of it. There is another black card though that when you mentioned blue black shadow, I thought about Psychic
yeah.
Frog. And this is a card that I think will be extremely strong in Legacy. Some people already compared it to Dreaded Arcanist, which is obviously banned in Legacy. And this is a blue and a black frog 1/2. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you draw a card, and that's an incredible line. That's such a strong line. Discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on this, unlike Psychotog, which was until end of turn. This is forever. And then you exile 3 cards from your graveyard. This gains flying. So you can do discard a card. Now there's 3 cards in my graveyard. It has flying, attack. attack with a 2/3, draw a card. So I basically just looted, and then you know from there on, yeah, no, this card is very good. I think.
Yeah, I like this card also because I see the potential of controlling the graveyard and then playing a Murktide if you're playing Blue Black Shadow in Modern. But I think in general having a 2 drop that doesn't that isn't bad, it was something we were missing. So I really like the potential of this card. Maybe it won't be broken as it will be in Legacy because we don't have a lot of shenanigans. But again, it's a discard outlet, so maybe graveyard deck can play this and so on. So why not? You know?
Yeah, this card I think's very scary legacy, very scary. And if people wanted to ban Orcish Bowmaster, I think Bowmaster will be the card that keeps the card as check, but I don't know if it will. But yeah, so of course it goes well with Psychic Frog Bowmaster. So definitely extremely powerful card. Get your play set if you like to play this type of deck in Legacy. And what about in Modern? Can we play this in Murktide? Like Grixis Murktide?
I think you can maybe play it in blue black. Like I'm very excited to try a blue black version of the deck. So now you play Nethergoyf and Tamiyo as 1 drop. You can play this as a 2 drop, and then you play Deluge, you play Shadow and Murktide and Bowmaster as a slot.
So creatures.
And then yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Same cards. Yeah.
And then you can play, you know, Deluge, Counterspell, Push, Thoxis, and stuff. I think the problem of that deck, I played it in the past. It was sometimes you don't have enough creatures because it used to play only for Murktide and for Shadow. But if they play like Rest in Peace or Solitude, then the deck becomes unplayable. While now you have a more of a mid-range type of creatures and a better curve. And yeah, I'm very excited to brew with these cards because I think blue black decks were there for a bit, but never been so good as the blue red. So I don't know, and yeah, maybe this can be decent even in a blue red splashing black because you
Yeah,
know
and
card
the
advantage
Exile
is fun.
3. Yeah, Exile 3 cards from your graveyard pumps Murktide, I just
Yeah.
noticed, and that could be an interaction to just kill your opponent out of nowhere. Alright, let's continue here. There's just so many cards. So let me talk to you. Let me highlight the one that you sent me first. So you sent me a little package of energy here with Guide of the Souls as a first one. So this is a 1 white 1/2 human cleric. Whenever another creature comes into play, you gain a life and get 1 energy. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, you put 2+1/+1 counter and a flank counter on target attacking creature forever. So this is both an enabler because it gives you energy and a crazy payoff because whenever you attack with any creature, you give it 2+1/+1 counter and flying is really big. So yeah, Guide of the Souls is definitely a pushed enabler, but is there a shelf for it? Is there like enough energy cards to support this?
I'm not 100% sure. This my first thought it was to play something like Age Sky Energy deck. So in the common and uncommon cards there is the draw 1 card and create 2 energy for the blue. It's a common blue common.
Yes. There's also the other common that deals 3
Yeah,
damage and you gain energy.
yeah. I
So
think
yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, I think that
Go
card
ahead.
is strong
Oh, I
because
need to discard.
you can just kill an X1 on turn 1, and then later you can like snap it, and you have 2 leftover energy, so you can kill a 5 drop. I think it's interesting how
Yeah,
you
that
use
is
this.
the Arnest lining in standard back in the days. Yeah, no, this card is definitely an interesting one. And another card with energy you sent me is Wheel of Potential. Which you said has a lot of
Yeah,
potential. It's a 3 mana sorcery, so it's like Wheel of Fortune. But what does it do is that you gain 3 energy, and then you may pay X amount of energy. Each player may, this is an important clause to know, so it doesn't combo with Orcish Bowmaster. Each player may exile their hand and draw X cards. If X is 7 or more, you may play the exiled cards this way until the end of turn. So this is like a wheel if your deck has a lot of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I just see the potential of this card with the Underworld Breach and even in Storm decks, you can keep wheeling your hand and drawing more cards. So you play the discount bears. Even like there is Aral in the set. So yeah,
Ral Moonson Mage.
and
And also the Ruby Medallion
yeah,
is another way to discount your Paretic Ritual and the other one. There's definitely a payoff for Red Storm. Our common friend Chiasso, who plays Red Storm in Legacy, will definitely be pleased. There's also an improved Act of Impulse,
mhm.
Glimpse the Impossible, I think. So there's definitely a lot
Yeah.
of
Also, like
a lot
the
of
wheel combos out with the medallion, the unstable amulet, the uncommon artifact. Can
unstable.
just
Okay.
be a bit scroll a bit down. The unstable amulet, yeah, the last card from the last pile.
Oh, unstable
Yeah,
amulet. When comes to play, you gain 2 energy. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. You tap, pay 2 energy, exile the top card of your library, and you may cast it.
I like
Okay.
the synergy
I
between
guess it's
those
just
two
another,
cards.
yeah, another energy enabler. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to. You just have to be mono red. You don't even need a. You don't even need another color. You can even play Ral, Moonstone Mage as a discounter for your spells. You don't need to play Baral and Goblin Electromancer. Yeah. No, there's I mean, boosting Storm is a little bit of a risk. We all know how powerful Storm mechanic is. Although they didn't put any card with Storm, so at least Popper won't get hurt by that. It will get hurt by something else, but not by the Storm mechanic. I think speaking of Popper, since we both love Popper, the strongest card in Popper, I mean, outside of the Cranial Ram, which they already said are gonna ban, that's the Cranial Plating. There's a card that I think is just incredibly powerful. I think
Yeah,
you will also see play
the zombie
modern.
rat, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the zombie
It's
rat that
artifact,
costs
so yeah,
4.
there we are.
Yeah, it costs 4. It has affinity for artifact. Flying. Whenever it comes to play, each opponent discard a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. So, in any game with affinity, this would cost 1 mana. So 1 mana, 2/1 flying that makes your opponent discard a card. You can bring it back with Glinthawk, Core Sky Fisher. It's crazy. And I can see casting this card in modern as well. I guess we can start talking a little bit about affinity in modern, which is obviously also they pushed a lot affinity. You have of course refurbished familiar, which you can play over Frogmite. You have the Frogmere Enforcer, which you can play over Sojourner's Companion. That's the 7 mana 4/4 affinity for artifacts with prototype 3 and a red 2/2. So if you have a Spire of Industry or Springleaf Drum, you can cast this as Frogmite if the game is not going your way.
Yeah, I
And
think this card is incredible. Like it's because we already talked about how playing 7 drops is huge because of we got synthesizer in the previous expansion. Now we have the Godzilla
Osilex
Seeing, but
Unsealing.
also Temple of Ugin. Is that the name of the card? Like the Soul
You
Land,
mean Ugin's Binding?
uh,
Oh no,
the
okay, you mean the
land.
Soul Land. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So like the start of of that card are huge, and also you can skip on playing a Mirror Enforcer. That is a kind of a cringe card, I think, coming in 2024. So I really think that card is a very strong upgrade.
Yeah, recently I almost trophy lost the last match with Affinity Modern. I'm right now on stream. I'm playing only decks that will get improved, and I say how I would improve the decks. And one of them was Affinity Modern. I was trying the Moonsner prototype build. No Mirror Enforcer, but you can definitely. Another card that I think we can trim is Thought Monitor, which kind of feels crazy because Thought Monitor is just so good. But I think that Kappa Canoneer is better. Uh, Kappa Canoneer is a way to finish your opponent very quickly that Thought Monitor sometimes was failing to do. If your opponent has Orcish Bowmaster in hand or in play, Thought Monitor isn't as good. Whereas you just land the Kappa Canoneer, sure, you don't trigger the Kozilek's Unsealing, but I feel like what's it called again? The Simulacrum Synthesizer is just a better Kozilek's Unsealing anyway.
Yeah.
Why draw cards when you can just put a million unbeatable construct in play? So I feel like Kappa Canoneer just replaces Thought Monitor because Thought Monitor isn't good with the Wiggins Labyrinth, unlike the Sojourner's Companion and the Frog Mirror Enforcer. So
Yeah, I'm very
I
scared
think that
about
could
Kappa,
be
to be honest. It seems the power level of the card is very strong, and having word 4 means is there to stay in a lot of games. So
yeah, especially since you play this very early.
yeah,
So you don't have mana to pay for. And in Legacy you have Force of Will. In Modern, well, you have Subtlety, but it's not the same. If I cast it, it means I can cast it again. Yeah, no, definitely. Kappa Cannoneer, super scary, super good. I love to play this card in Legacy. Of course, in Legacy you have like Mox Opal, Urza's Bubble, Lotus Petal, which you don't have in Modern. But in Modern, as I play this list here, I have Frogmite Memnite, Moonsnare Prototype, Springleaf Drum, you have Welding Jar. So you have a lot of cheap enabler to play this card out on turn 2 or 3, and yeah, no, the deck is powerful. Affinity will be good. You do have Meltdown, but once you play Kappa Cannoneer, Meltdown doesn't do anything
good
anymore.
luck meltdowning the Canoneer. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking like about my brew with Rest Down and Nulldrifter, so I think that will be a very strong counter to Affinity decks because you basically play all the cards that Affinity struggles against. But
Rest
I
down,
don't know.
yeah.
Rest Down, but also the card we mentioned before, the blue card that stifles. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't counter a Kappa Cannoneer though, because it says counter target colorless
Yeah,
card,
yeah, but
and Kappa is blue.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
counter the word.
No, also, if you've never played this card in Legacy, it's not intuitive at all, but this card triggers off itself. So this card comes into play and gets a +1/+1 counter. Not a very elegant design when they did this in Commander. But it is basically this is a 5/5. It's not a 4/4. Um, all right. Well, I was going to think, do we have more cards? We have so many cards up here. Let's just talk about one that I think actually has this card is so good. This card feels like Boseju type of good. Shifting Woodland. This is a land that comes into play untapped if you control a forest. And then it says add a green. So, it's basically a Castle Garenbrig. And with Delirium and 4, this card becomes a copy of target permanent in your graveyard. That means it can copy the Ring, the Yawgmoth, and even Omniscience. Now, I don't know how far away you want to go there, but this is a super powerful card, and this card is definitely gonna be added to my black green deck with Shieldred, the One Ring, and even Grist. Right, this can copy Grist and start making tokens.
Yeah,
Right?
also Grist counts as double type for Delirium because it's both creature and planeswalker.
I don't think so. Do you think so?
Yes.
Maybe. No, because you can't negate it. Oh, you think in the graveyard it counts as double?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not
Could be. I
100%
don't know.
sure.
Yeah, if you listening to this episode and you want to let us know either in the comments of this channel or on Twitter, definitely let us know. But this shifting woodland is has the like they have a full cycle of these lands. You have the red one that has the potential to add 2 mana. You have the blue one which has the potential to help you casting your next spell with improvise. So that this can be like, even more mana. You have the white one, which just basically draw some cards, but it's very expensive. And then finally you have the black one, which helps a creature connive. But I think amongst this cycle, the green one has to be the
Yeah, I
strongest.
think the green one is the scariest one for sure. I think having Delirium in Modern is not something super intuitive. So if you want to play this, you have to prioritize some choices. For example, you play Bubble in Rock because it pumps the Armogoth, but also count for Delirium. But yeah, it's not super easy to set up unless you're playing a specific deck trying to abuse this. But yeah, I think the card is strong, but it's not broken for this requirement cost, at least in Modern.
Okay, so you're not. I mean, I think that this is. I said like Boseiju, which means that you basically just add it to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
deck
yeah.
for literally no
Yeah, the
cost.
opportunity cost
You're
is
playing a
zero.
green deck that has types. Well, play Shifting Woodlands. It's gonna be a forest almost always, and whenever you're drawing a little bit too many lands, or if you have another card I'm high on, which is Fanatic of Aronas. That's the 1/4 that you can tap at a green, but if you have Tarmogoyf or other 4 drops it at 4 green, which is exactly how much the Shifting Woodland needs to be activated, or you can cast a ring with it. So that's another card I'm high on. Well, I mean, in this line, there's like 2 more cards that will definitely see play modern. One is the Harbinger of the Seas, which will definitely be a boost to Merfolk. Again, yesterday I was playing a blue-red Merfolk on stream, almost went very close to trophy there. With just I was splashing red for Bolt and
Okay.
a Flame of Anor. This is also a wizard, by the way. I guess you can just build now Wizards Tribal with the new Tamiyo. There's just so many wizards. Although I even ended up cutting Lord of Atlantis because I wanted to play more wizards. But yeah, this the Harbinger of the Seas is gonna be even better. I think the Magus of the Moon against Amulet
Yeah,
Titan
yeah.
because Amulet Titan is now playing Roxanne, but so
Yeah,
it
they
doesn't.
play a
Roxanne
lot of
is
removals for Magus. Fire Spout, for example. Someone is even play Storm's Wrath. So Magus of the
yeah,
Moon is not
exactly.
in a super safe place, while this card is just kind of better because they can only Otawara or dismember it, but that's it. And also, like,
Plus, of course,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, 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 sorry.
I was going to say, no, turning your opponent lands into islands is great because you're playing Island Walk. So not only shuts your opponent off, but also helps your plan. There, go ahead.
Yeah, I was also mentioning that if you're playing this, for example, in Murktide, you can keep counterspell open and to like try to counterspell stuff. While when you play Magus, sometimes it's tough because you maybe play that on turn 3 and then maybe you don't have double blue. So keeping up with your game where you want to counter the ring, etc., is tough. While this helps you a bit on that direction. Maybe you will play one mountain if you want to play this. It's interesting, but I think it will be probably a format defining card and an inclusion in many decks that struggles to beat heavy mana decks.
Yeah, this one could see play in Murktide over because we've played Magus of the Moon for so long, but now maybe we turn on. Another card in this row is Lalia, the Blader Reforged. We talked about it last week on the episode with Javier with the Cascade. Of course, this is a 2 card combo with Charlotte's Agent. You just pumps the Lalia so much, and it's super easy. So I'm sure sometimes you'll be like chilling, and your opponent just one shots you with a Cascade card. And I think that Vantat Burst is banned, and maybe one of the reasons this banned is that they knew they were going to print Lalia, and this is definitely a strong card.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
mentioning Laelia, like I discovered another interesting interaction that with the Thrasher, the Lizard Wizard, You get pumped
Okay.
by 2, right? Because you exile 2.
Oh.
So
Well, this says whenever one or more
also,
cards are
so okay,
exiled.
you get
It depends
pumped by
what it,
1, but
it-
I think
yeah, it
it's still
depends
a
what
nice
those
curve.
losers say. Yeah, if it says exile 2, it doesn't work. Somehow Cascade dodges the Lalia one or more thing because they go one at a time. But again, I'm not a rules expert. I just know it works. Let's talk about another black card, which is kind of crazy they printed this because Necropotus is like one of the strongest card ever, and they made the Necrodominance, which is extremely close to it. Because 3 black, although in a format without Dark Ritual, it's a legendary enchantment that says skip your draw step. I mean, it's literally Necropotence, but it has a downside that says your maximum hand size is 5. So at the beginning of your end step, you may pay an amount of life if you do draw that many cards, which is better than Necropotence because with Sheoldred, this is a combo. So you just, you can draw 20 cards if you want. You gain 20 life. I guess, no, that's not true because you die. You can say you lose 10 life, you draw 10 cards, you gain 20. So overall, you gain 10 life. But at the end of the turn, you have to discard because your maximum mana size is 5. And whenever a card or token will be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So this card combos with Shieldred, and it's powerful, but I don't know if
I,
without Dark Ritual is safe.
I don't know if this card is broken or not, but it seems very close to being broken. So I'm really scared about this card being something that we end up doing to win games. So I don't know. It seems very strong, to be honest. I don't know why they
Yeah,
printed this
I
card.
already I'm already abusing of Shieldred in my Golgari deck with the ring. Uh, in the trophy, there was an amazing game where I had ring, and I just kept playing a new ring and choosing the old one because I was playing against Storm, who had 20 goblins in play, so I could never let him attack me. And I just won with Shieldred by gaining, 20 life, topping the ring with 5 counters, 6 counters, and such. So that is already Shieldred, super powerful card in Modern, and Necrodominance will be even making it even better. The mono black deck, although did you see there's another mono black card that rewards you for playing Urborg in a lot of swamps. Consuming
Yeah,
Corruption. 2 and a black instant deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, you gain X life, or X number of swamp you control. And this is basically corrupt but can't go face, but it only costs 2 mana, which is so much less than 6.
yeah. Maybe this is a better March of the. I don't know the name of the card.
The March of the Otherworldly Light. Yeah, the problem is that March, of the Wretch Sorrow. The problem with March is that March was like great at using your Cabal Coffer's mana. So when you had like 10 mana, 12 mana, you just gain 11. This one, I mean, I guess sure, this one can also gain a lot of life. So I guess it's gonna be easier to cast when you have the Field of Ruin mana base. In this line also that I'm showing on screen, there's Buried Alive, a card that in Legacy saw a lot of play in combinations with Arclight Phoenix. You do like Buried Alive, you put 3 Phoenix in your graveyard, the next turn you reanimate them. Again, in Legacy you do the with Dark Ritual, so Dark
Yeah.
Rituals makes all of these things better, but what worth mentioning them. There's a powerful reanimate target here. Reanimate enabler here. Victimize. This is another reprint. It costs 2 and a black, and you can reanimate 2 creatures, but you have to sacrifice 1. And the one you can sacrifice is like a dwarf in John Creativity. Maybe this is something that can go there.
Yeah, I already saw some combos with Victimize posting on Twitter, and Victimize and Buried Alive, where you go send to graveyard like Tassa's Oracle, Leveler, and Narcomoeba. You return the Narcomoeba, you sacrifice, and then you get the Splinter Twin
Oh
parts.
wow,
Yeah, and stuff like that.
that's cool.
You can even like bean Narcomoeba into Pride's Amalgam, go to end step, return double priced. Like for sure,
For seven power.
yeah, for sure, those 2 cards will create some shenanigans, at least in the early stage
Yeah.
of the format where people brew and for the Pro Tour maybe. Then I don't know if, because of course graveyard strategies are easy to fight in Modern, there are so
Rayon.
many cards that stop it. But it would be interesting to see if the card performs well or end up being actually strong.
Yeah, another combo you can do with Buried Alive is putting in your graveyard Karmic Guy, Kikijiki, and Theodar Guardian. Then you like persist the Karmic Guy, reanimate Kikijiki, copy Theodar Guardian, and then go off like the old Vivian combo deck.
Don't give me
So
hope.
that's another combo you can do. And again, this set is so cool. There's also, I can't pronounce this, Chitonian Nightmare, which is a energy version of Recurring Nightmare, another card of incredible power level. Uh, it costs only 2, it's an enchantment. It comes to play, you get 3 energy, you pay X amount of energy, sacrifice a creature, you return this to your hand, and you reanimate a creature. So you can just do this again in the deck with Nethergoyf, the what was called Simulacrum Black, maybe some Bloodghast. You can just go off a little bit there. I don't know. Is there any other card that we talk about all the cards that we mentioned here? Oh no, I guess I have a last one to talk to you about. It's Sorin of Owl's Markov. This is again of the cycle of Flip Walker. It doesn't cost 1 like Tamiyo and Grist, which is 2 is double 1, but it dodges Bolt, so it doesn't die to Bolt. That's not bad. 2 mana 1/4 lifelink extort. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you gain 3 life, so that lets you like attack with a life linker, you can flip this. And 3 life is also the life that you can gain off of a food, which you can put into play with the cookbook. And once you flip that, Sorin is really good, I think, on the back. With +2, you make a food, but with -1, you deal damage equal to the number of life you gain to to any target. So what you do yeah, so what you do is like you crack a food or again like you lifelink something, you flip this, immediately you -1 and you deal 3 damage. And that's strong. And it keeps the extort ability, so throughout the game you'll be able to spend extra mana to drain. And again, this card only costs 2 and it's a 2/1, it's a 1/4 lifelink extort. So once again, extremely like these cards are so aggressively costed. Like everything costs 1 or 2, It's they're powerful and yeah, creatures these days are cheap.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this. Maybe the last card I want to mention in the set is Cephalid Coliseum, since we already talked about unfair strategies. And I think my fellow Dredge players are in shackles for this card because, of course, you have 7 cards in your deck. You enable Threshold on turn 2 sometimes. And this card is basically lets you dredge 15. So I think this card is actually might be very strong in a dredge build, and probably we will see a comeback of unfair strategies and graveyard strategies with this set.
Yeah, so this card saw so much play in Legacy, of course, Dredge. This card also combos with Narset. You can target your opponent. You can target them in their draw step as well, and you force them to discard 3 cards. This is something that you can do, and I remember there was a time with Brandon 16 Legacy that you used to play this card in combination with Narset and Brandon 6. So yeah, that's not a combo you can do. All these cards are legally modern. Just saying, Brandon 6, Certified Coliseum, and Narset. You mentioned Cephalid for a moment, and that just made me think about a card we haven't talked about of incredible power level. That is Nadu. What's the full name? Nadu Winged Wisdom. This is another card that is very scary, very, very strong. 1 blue-green flying for a 3/4. Whenever creatures you control, all your creatures have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, you put it in play. If it's a non-land, you draw it. You put it in your hand. Sorry, you don't draw it. You put it in your hand. But this only triggers twice each turn. Why did I say that? Because with Shuko, it would be infinite. You would draw your deck. And they didn't want you to do that. With the Nova Zen Core that's legally modern, it costs 3 mana. It's also quote unquote infinite. With if you have multiple creatures with Lightning Graves, remember every creature has that. So if you have this card and some other creature, if you play Shuko, you're just draw 2, multiply the number of creatures you have. And this is all attached to a 3 for body flying for 3. Lightning Bolt doesn't kill anything anymore these days. Everything has 4
Yeah,
toughness in these
that's
cards that we're
interesting
reading.
to mention. Yeah, I think regarding this card, a couple of friends yesterday night, because I went to my local Pauper League, and they told me they broke this card, and I think there is a combo with another creature that when you play a land, it creates a creature, and then you target that with
Okay.
Shuko, and then you do infinite
Okay.
because you put a
Okay.
land on the battlefield top, equip Shuko, trigger of Nadu, play another land, and so on and so forth.
Well, but what if you hit 2 spells in a row, then you don't put any land into play? It's okay. Yeah, you pass the turn, I guess.
Yeah, I mean
No,
it's
but
fine,
no,
it's fine.
yeah, yeah, no.
Just
This card is extremely. It's scary. I
skill
mean,
swarm, I don't know.
there's also another 2 card combo. I mean, I think we can stay here forever. There's another 2 card combo. That's the green Aluren with energy, Primal Prayers, and that combos with the elephant from Ether Revolt with the energy. You make infinite ATB, which win the game however you want. There's yeah, we I don't know. Again, maybe next week we'll definitely talk about more. We'll definitely talk about more cards maybe with Javier or Anthony. Speaking of which, Anthony is now in Dallas to hang out with the Americans RC. I guess I haven't mentioned it yet, but last weekend I was in Naples to compete in the European RC. Unfortunately, I didn't do well, but thankfully I already qualified to Amsterdam, so I was just there to try to do my best in a standard tournament. I did write an article for Channel Fireball, so make sure if you're going to the RC Amsterdam and no, not Amsterdam, the RC in Dallas, and on Channel Fireball there's my article about Teamer Analyst and Reduke article about the best standard decks in Magic right now. So that might be something interesting to find. Of course, Channel Fireball is now free for everyone to read and check upon. And Andrea, will you go to Four Seasons this weekend? Will I see you there?
I'm still deciding, but maybe, yeah.
Last minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I already registered for all my events. I'll be doing the team event on Friday. I'll be doing the pre-modern event on Saturday, and then I'll be doing the legacy main event on Sunday. Once again, I'll be recording all my games on Sunday. We'll be then with Tommy upload them on Mango's Workshop. Which, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast and haven't heard about Mango's Workshop at all, it is my YouTube channel that of only paper magic. It's going very well, and I'm very glad that the people get to watch some more paper magic. And yeah, I've done this last time of recording all my games and then going over the commentary, the play with Tommy afterwards. He cut all the 7 rounds down to 1 hour and 44, and that's the type of content I wanted to do for a while. Four Seasons lets me do it, and we will be doing it again. But yeah, so if you're there, Andrea, I'm definitely happy to see you there. There'll be a lot of people, as always. Four Seasons is one of the best paper magic event to go. So if you're considering going to Italy for a trip, definitely go there. But yeah, anything else you want to tell the listeners? Do you want to shout out your socials, your Patreon? What do you do over there? Just
Yeah, so
it's
basically
your
you can
platform.
find me on Twitter at my name is Piegonti on every social. You can even follow me on Instagram. I'm already trying to set up the social, and I'm kind of finishing my studies. So in 2 weeks I will have my degree, and then I will focus all the summer in playing Magic. So you can follow my path towards this journey. And yeah, so basically I run a Patreon. Speaking of Murktide and basically all the tempo decks you can play modern, those will be the best time for you to join because we are excited to share new lists, new brews, and it's a very good moment for the deck, I think. So you can just Google Patreon slash Murktide to see what I do basically.
Yeah, that's it. And you can also go patreon.com/Karnies if you want to join the Karnies Patreon. That's definitely another Murktides. There it is. Patreon.com/Murktides. Yeah, that's know what happened over here, but it's okay.
Hey, without S.
Oh, without S. Okay, Murktide.
Yeah,
Okay. All right,
there
perfect.
we are.
Perfect. Twinless Twin and Piegonte, which are my main source of Murktide deck list these days for my Friday Murktide videos. All right, that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Again, we covered a lot of things. I hope you enjoyed to listen to us talk about for an hour about MH3. We will be doing that again next week. And thank you and have a great day.
Bye.